Thank you very much for being here on the first night of the three-night event. I know not all of you will be here for the third night, and some will just be here for the second and third night. But I want to thank you. I'm not going to talk tonight. I'm going to give a speech tomorrow night along with a few other luminaries. They may not be luminaries to you, but they're luminaries in their own mind. And our master of ceremonies is going to be Mr. Ken Butt, my good friend. He's flown in, he actually lives in Manila, amongst many other places. And, but I just want to take this opportunity to say thanks and enjoy the place. It's a special place with even the thickest of you, with the lowest IQ, have ascertained this is a special goddamn place these days. We have security guards, and you will be checked. So don't steal any shit. Anyway, God bless. We'll have a good time. I'll talk to each and every one of you.
I'm drinking bulletproof aspirin. Fucking bulletproof.
Here I am, 70. As my kid brother would attest to, my father only had one goal for me in life, and that was to keep me alive to the age of reason. He wasn't sure if that was 20, 30, 40, or 70, or 70, or ever. And fortunately, both my mother and father, they lived to see some success that I had. By some standards, quite successful. But I know money's not everything, and it's not. But it's the only fucking thing anybody keeps track of. And I've created a lot of wealth in this room. You know, I'm not asking you to come and blow smoke on my ass about it, but I haven't. But I've given you more choices in life. You know, I know Keith is very philanthropic with his lovely wife. I know Sally and I are very philanthropic, and I know a bunch of other people in this room are very philanthropic. And I'm not here to blow smoke up Donald Trump's ass because he blows it up in his own ass. He doesn't need me. But the world is full up to here with political correctness. The only reason he's getting any goddamn publicity is because people are just fucking tired of the bullshit with politicians. And maybe that's why I have a research, because I've never been politically correct. I'm anything but that. And some of the language I use, and for those of the people that have gone through the program recently, you know I'm in talks with 4 different networks about a reality show. The only word I can't use is cunt. But it's all right for me to use vagina. Now, I don't understand that. I just don't flat fucking understand. The irony of all this, when I look across the audience and I see I got 4 or 5 last-minute emails that they couldn't be here, all about deals. Dan, I'm taking a company, you know, hostile takeover. Dan, the bankruptcy proceeding of the company we're taking over lasted longer than we thought. Dan, the dental practices were rolling up in the U.S. And then one guy who did his first deal, his first little deal, some of you will know because know him, I'm not going to call him by name, did his first little $2 million deal. And he said that I knew I had to be there at the closing because it's going to be all fucked up. Well, believe me, for those of you that have never been to a closing, shit happens. And I would rather have them there, wherever they are in the world, than be here. You know, I love to see them. So I've had a great ride. And some of the guys and gals that I've helped are going to get up and say a few words about me. Most of which are true, not all. Because now my reputation is, I mean, the things I've done has expanded. I mean, I'm surprised I can't walk on water now. And the misdeeds that I've done, everybody forgot. And the thing that I'm most proud of is that not the wealth that I've created for myself, not the wealth I've created for myself, but the wealth I've created for all you kids. And I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of each and every one of you. I look at these faces, it's unbelievable. And so I look around the room and I see all these people that I'm blessed to have helped. And in helping them, they allowed me to grow. It's a remarkable. I see all the Dutch crooks. They're raising their hand now.
It's a badge of honor, Dan.
Yes, thank you. But I had a mentality of getting in a lot of trouble. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, Walter and Howard helped me sometimes get in trouble.
You helped us.
Yeah. All right.
Not us, you us.
Walter will contend to this day that I helped him get in
We
trouble.
visit a lot of jails because of you.
I used to call Walter's house, and his mother would answer the phone. God rest her soul. She'd say, she thought I was the devil. She knew I was the devil. She said, is Walter alive? Yes. Does he still have all his limbs? Yes. Did anybody else die? And I go, no. He says, well, is he in jail? He says, no, we're not in jail, but we're down here. We need to be blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, you know, I got in a lot of trouble, and these two guys knew me a long time. And speaking of 99.9% of the time, they say that I've touched 1 million people. I didn't used to believe that, but now I do. And I'm not counting Klaus Kleinfeld, my most successful mentee who ran Siemens, who had 500,000 employees. And I'm not counting those, but I probably have touched at least that. And because 99.9% of the people that say that they have benefited from my teachings, I have never met. I would not know if they pissed on my foot. They've got it from my website and all my stuff, and now I give all my material away. And so I have touched a lot of people, and so this 50 billion that I've created for you, not for me, and it's really a lot higher than 50 billion because not everybody wants fame. Almost everybody wants wealth, but not everybody wants their name associated with me. And there's 15 or 20 guys here, big fucking hitters, multi-billionaires that aren't here tonight because it's going to be on YouTube. And we don't want to be associated. So when they're dead, I'm going to be not ticking their names off. You know, they didn't have a pot to piss in their window to throw out before they met me. But that's fine. And for those of you that are here, I appreciate it very much. And we have you're in various degree, various steps in your success in life. But the most important thing, what Sally and I try to do very, very strictly, is to make sure you're successful. And I was answering weekly reports today. Every time I disappear, I'd answer 5 or 10 weekly reports that these kids give me on a weekly basis. And I know the guys and the gals that are here that we still haven't made those steps yet. I know what you're goddamn capable of. But I just want to thank you all very much. You know, I've had a great life. Thank you.
I just want to bring your attention to where we actually are right now, this particular venue. You know, we're here, we're seeing this beautiful castle, we're enjoying this fantastic surroundings, but do you realize that several years before Columbus sailed on the Pinta, the Niña, and the Santa Maria, this castle was built? In 1984, a brash young Hispanic American, still in his 30s, bought the property, Dan Peña. I don't think that even Dan realized how much money you would have to put into it to restore it. Tonight, we have a number of Dan's good friends and family that would like to entertain us and regale us with some stories and anecdotes about our birthday celebrant and host. Tonight, he joins us from 3,000 miles away, flying in from Connecticut, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you Mr. Bruce Whipple.
Many people here may have had their lives changed figuratively, but I have had my life saved by Dan Peña. And we go back to 3clicks.com. We didn't call it that. Do you remember what we called it, Dan?
3clicks.com.
Absolutely. And because of that, those evenings we drank an awful lot. I drank far too much one evening, and I do like chocolate. So I think I decided to set the world record for how much chocolate I could eat. At which point Dan realized that it was stuck in my throat, performed the Heimlich maneuver, and somehow brought me back to life. So I thank you for that. And I looked at that and I said, good, that is something that I can envy, I want to learn from, and want to keep in touch with Dan. So, as everybody in here knows, there's a doofus test along the way. I remember when I first started to talk to Leanne Kelly, who was the assistant for Dan at the time. She said, well, yeah, Dan can talk to you, but it'll be next Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had a tremendous amount of value out of those 40 minutes, so I first thank you for that. But I think what I learned from Dan, and as I look back on it, he was responsible for a lot of my successes, and he was certainly responsible for a lot of the firsts in my life. And, you know, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but while not all of what we did was successful, the one thing, and I think everybody here has had this experience, everything that I did with Dan was fun along the way. So what did I learn from Dan? I think the first thing, and I tried to just boil this down to 2 or 3 things. Take action, really any action, but take action. And in the property tax days, we first had our successes with IBM. We're just a couple of us, tiny little business. We ended up going against their teams of attorney. We acted, as Dan says, like we had no limits to our ability. We ended up succeeding in that. The second thing, and I thought I had this, and hope I do, but Dan showed me this at a different level, was just integrity. And Dan has said many times to me that a few things worth dying for, and your integrity is one of them. And I absolutely believe that in my core, and I know Dan believes that in his core. And Dan would tell you, I'm sure, make your failures fast and move on. We did that. So I've seen that over and over and over again. And lastly, and I've seen this a lot over 22 years, I've never seen Dan quit on a mentee that didn't quit on themselves. So a lot of people spend a lot of time, myself included, over all those times. So personally, I'm thankful for that and very grateful for that. And lastly, I saw something this morning that I read that I thought Dan really could have written this. And it was, what is success? And they just took each letter in that. It said, see your goal, understand your obstacles, create a positive mental picture, clear your mind of self-doubt, embrace the challenge, stay on track, and show the world you could do it. So, Dan could have written that. And as we sit and walk around Guthrie Castle, and for a lot of people here, I'm sure, Dan did show the world, you've shown the world. So, for being my mentor for 22 years, I want to thank you. Happy birthday. And I have little doubt you'll probably have 70 more. So, thank you very much.
We've been through enormously good times, enormously bad times, and that's what life is about. We were short about $150 million. And then Dan and I sat down together, we worked through the night, we came up with a plan, and we got some funding from Barclays Bank. Not because I was great, not because I was diligent, but because Dan was in charge. And somehow he made it work. But for a man who makes it work, Dan Peña is the guy. And I've known that for getting up for 30 odd years. One thing I know is that I have learned a lot from this man, incredibly, called Dan Peña.
And Dan's right, there is a bit much of political correctness. And I looked at it as a term of endearment for me. And for him to actually take the time, the real time, to mentor me. And not mentor me in the sense that I had been accustomed to. I'm talking about the sense of the mentorship that many of you have gotten from him, which is straight to the point. Why waste time? Why, not just say what's there? And I can tell you that for me, and for my friends, for labels, for Eddie, who owns a label company, for Raul, who's an attorney, and for Ruben, who's the writer, have all gone on to have incredibly successful careers. And more than that, with Dan, you're absolutely right, Dan, in terms of touching millions of lives. The ideas that I bring to the job that I do now, this year, to give you an example, we had 123,000 students who applied for scholarships, and the things that we're trying to teach them in a little bit more subtle way than what Dan does is about realizing your potential, your dreams. And the language that we use is, again, a little more subtle, but it's the same. And for all of you who may have kept track of the demographics in the country, I'll just share with you a couple of points. Today, 17% of the United States is Hispanic American. In the next 20 years, 30% of the country is going to be Hispanic American. So for those of you doing business in the United States or not from the United States, that's what you're going to see. In fact, 80% of the new labor forces, according to the Wall Street Journal, over the next 30 years will be Hispanic. So the things that you've taught me, the things that you've taught others, are going to have that impact. And frankly, I think important not only for the United States, but for the world itself. And finally, Dan has just been there for me throughout the last 22 years. So it's an honor to be here, Dan, Sally, thank you so much. It's great to see the family, the kids. And all I can say is you're going to continue to touch millions of lives going forward through the work that we're all doing. Thank you.
I don't know Dan Peña a lot, but two things I definitely do know. First of all, he owns a huge castle. Second of all, he owns also 50 billion. But one thing I really don't get is that when he has all of that, instead he spends all his time teaching other people. I mean, while he could be spending so much time in that castle and having fun, instead he spends his time teaching other people. And he has improved so many lives, he has changed them, and he's given them opportunities. And I just want to wish him a happy birthday.
So what I wanted to say to you is probably, a slightly different angle than most of the other speakers. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here, and thank you so much, Dan and Sally, for putting on such a magnificent few days. And I think we are all enjoying it and have already enjoyed it very much indeed. But in the early days, I suppose I went down the route of, well, actually let me back up for a second, because a couple of us were talking about this, a couple of our older people were talking about this earlier, that when I came to the castle in 1997, and Dan says that most decisions in life are either born out of inspiration or desperation. Trust me, mine was in the desperation category for sure. There was like zero inspiration there in my heart. And I didn't even know, like Google didn't exist. It's difficult for you young guys to know this, but like I was on the plane over here in May 1997, sort of thinking that maybe Guthrie Castle doesn't even exist, maybe it's just a puddle in the middle of the field. But all the more reason, I suppose, to feel rewarded by taking that first leap of faith to come here. And I went through the program, and like many of you have done, and I became involved in trying to put my first deals together, which Dan has alluded to earlier. And as Ken said in his introduction, I got involved with Dan and Sally in the Guthrie group for a couple of years. But I did a cross-country race in 2001, and I had no idea what it was going to be, or it was running on grass, it was obviously off the road and stuff. And so off I went in the cross-country race, and I run with a guide, who runs alongside me. And we came to the last hill on the course, and we just came off the hill. And I was an 800 metre runner at that point, by the way, for any of you who are into track and field athletics. So we just came off the hill, and he said to me, "Come on, Tony, only 300 metres to go." So I thought, 300 metres, I know what that is, I can do that in less than a minute. So I took off, And I was running for, I'd say, about 45 seconds. It seemed like a long time. And he says, "Come on, Tony, you're doing really well. You only have 250 metres to go." So I thought, okay, 250 metres, I know what that is. Keep going. Another 30 seconds later, you have 200 metres to go. So this went on until I crossed the finish line on my hands and knees. And, when I sort of recovered my breath, I gave out to him, for this sack of shit, like he told me. It was clear to me at that point that I was at least a kilometre away from it. And he told me there were 300 metres to go. So anyway, but I finished the race. It was my first cross-country race. I had no idea what to expect. And then, I was packing up, getting my tracksuit on, ready to leave. And somebody came over and said, "Hey, they need you over here, they need you over here." "What did they need me over there?" "You won a medal." "What?" "I won, and look at me now, you see me guys. I won a bronze medal in the 2001 World Cross Country Championships. I know you're very generous and kind, but I'm not the build of a cross-country runner. But the reason that happened, and again thinking back to Dan, is I didn't know that I couldn't. The next damn time I ran that fucking race, I didn't win any medals. Because I knew how hard it was, and I knew how fucking long it was, and I knew when I got down off that last hill it was at least a kilometre. But it is amazing what you can do when you don't know how difficult it is. And, I have to thank my blindness for that, because it sure as shit, if I could see the finish line, I wouldn't have been thinking it was anything close to 300 metres. So I really want to thank you for that, Dan. From then on, it did make a big difference, and it's still making a big difference. And you're going to be the first person I ring when I cross the finish line in the New York Marathon just coming.
Dan was right when he talked about our father raising us, and for sure, I don't think he really thought you'd make 40, and I wasn't going to miss your 70th, and I'm certain that we'll be doing many more of these, and we're going to go hit that C note. We're going to get up there, because the man never stops, and he has always been engaged. What you folks see here, a lot of you have taken the seminar and been around and in business deals, and a certain amount of time.
And, you know, a week, you know, you only get a week. I've had 56 years with this man. And then, of course, he's been a friend, but like Dan has told y'all, you can buy a dog. You don't need a friend, but he's been a friend. And you know, all that he tells us, it is a bit over-exaggerated, overrated, because he does have a heart, contrary to popular belief. And I've seen it, I've experienced it for years and years. You know, when our dad died, he started this scholar-athlete scholarship at Dad's old high school, and every year since then he's been supporting that. And it's just great to see what he does with these kids, you know, not just with you folks, but he does wherever he takes a chance to do that. And I noticed that from early on. And he just doesn't stop. And my brother, he never stopped. When he got out of service, he, you know, did 3 or 4 years of college in like 18 months. 3 years of college, probably in 18 months. This is what I saw at 9 years old. I'm in high school, and he's always doing stuff. He's always, I mean, all that stuff's not bullshit. I'm going to talk like you for a little bit. All right? So, yeah, it's not. I mean, I lived with that. I saw it. And, you know, I thought, oh, yeah, right. You know, it's crazy. And, well, yeah, it's crazy. But you know what? It stopped then where, you know, that craziness, you know, I've been considered the normal one, but like he'll say, that's overrated. Being normal is overrated. He is crazy, but he does great stuff with his craziness. And you know, it's just basic principles, man. It's that work ethic, you know, that being successful, working hard, getting that education. If he's going to do a sport or do something, he's got to do out of reach limits and then hit them. You know, that's what I saw. And I just love seeing that engagement. And that's another thing. That's what you know, I've always gotten from him. He's going to engage. He's going to make a decision. And Tony, maybe you said it. We're not going to dwell on the bad ones. We're going to move on. No, we're going to attack. And that's what I've always seen from this man. And he goes out and he does good things. He does good things with that mentality. But he just does not. He's always had it. 70 years of an example of just continuing to strive. And, you know, I think you're like a shark. If you stop, you'll die. So you keep moving. That's what he's always done. And I know Dad would be proud. He always was. But Dad would be proud because, you know, it was worth it all those times. All those things. I can tell you, he never doubted you. He never doubted you, just like we don't doubt you. I never doubted. But anyway, thank you very much.
On that note, how would most characterize my father? Strong, passionate, intense, intimidating, focused, aggressive, and always driving toward the future with such unrelenting force as if nothing in this world would keep him from the goals. But there's another side. Another side, and I've already started, excuse me. Another side that only a few are able to see, or in my case, raised by. Loving, compassionate, loyal, devoted, protected, and always charismatic. Attributes he's instilled in his children, me being no exception. And as I am soon to begin a new chapter in both my professional and personal life with my amazing wife, Emily, Spreget, with her child, I have absolutely no doubt that I am prepared for both and will succeed at both. Because of the foundation he and my mother helped build. We don't always see eye to eye, and have definitely butt heads before. But I can honestly say that I wouldn't be the man I am today without him. So please, if everybody would raise a glass. I was doing all right, and then I looked. I was doing all right. Please raise a glass to the man of the hour, a soon-to-be grandpa, and my father, Dan Peña. And Sally, you better believe you're getting called Grandma. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
his wife. You know, I pinch myself. And my whole life, my arms like a wood. I can't understand, I can't believe what he's accomplished with his life. And what a beautiful family he has. And all these wonderful people that he has done very good for them. And we're still friends after 56 friggin' years. You know, me, Walt, and Dan. And I want to thank you very, very much. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Dan, for being the guy you are and my best friend in this entire world. Give me a
But I do want to thank Howard Morgan, who's not here, who painted my painting, who made that painting made me fucking famous, okay? Which I told him it would make me famous when he painted it. Even though he was already the youngest member of the Royal Academy, I said this will make you famous, and it did. And just like as I told Brian, the Rose, that program would make you famous, and I made it. I never really did so. But anyway, I want to thank you all, we've got people here in the room that it never ceases to amaze me how the kids, who are all my kids, ask people like David Rocco, and some of the people I talked about, Bruce the Whipple, the Verdiers, etc. They don't believe these stories. And I'm not making anything up. They think it was a joke. They brought someone out of a company we founded from scratch. What was the thanks for being CEO of the year in London? They threw you out of your fucking ass. And that's going to happen to the successful ones. Now, for the not so successful, you'll get thrown out on your ass for nothing. But for the successful ones, and that's what it's all about. But I want to thank you again, and Sally did a great job. You deserve a big hand. And safe travels, etc. And some of you, unfortunately, I'll be seeing again tomorrow. But I tell my children there's no rest for the wicked. So I asked Sally when I was getting up this morning, who the fuck said this was going to be a 3-day party? Yeah, and she pointed to me, it was your idea. And but anyway, I'm glad.